Welcome back, folks, to the 2015 Bridgewater's Finest Movie Awards, presented in conjunction with MediaDetour.com, and this is the main event of the evening. Best movies of 2015, number 10 to number 1. This is the pinnacle of cinema in 2015, based on this guy, and he's so excited he had to put his coat on.
Yeah. My number 10 is Avengers Age of Ultron.
Nice.
Because I was excited for the first Avengers in the sense that it's like, whoa, we never seen this on such a grand scale. Like, the Avengers. But it wasn't really...
Look at all these stars.
It wasn't really a great movie. Like, I think I rated it like an 80.
Okay.
Like, I enjoyed it, but I was left a little colder than I wanted to.
Okay.
But this I wasn't. This was like, alright, this is what the Avengers should be. And I know people tend to like the first one more, I think. But this one had better action, a better villain, even though they kind of like make him a little wimpy at the end. Like, Ultron is super badass and snarky through the whole thing, and like I thought he was a really good villain. But then they kind of made him like be kind of a wimp in like the final battle with some of the things he said. Just a great superhero movie, really just thrilling from the beginning.
Yeah, and one thing that I remember noting about Avengers is like the emotional content is kind of stepped up a notch because we sort of know, like, we know where we're going with the cinematic universe, and we know we have to start planting the seeds of tension to a greater degree between Cap and Tony Stark and a little bit with Thor, but like especially with Cap and Tony Stark, you gotta start planting the seeds of problems there. This is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be a huge part of movies for the next 5 years. So that is a great movie to lead us into what is coming. My number 10 best movie of 2015 is a cheater movie from 2014 entitled Spring. Now, what Spring is it's the story of this guy who is in his, I think, just like entering his early 30s and has realized that he kind of hasn't accomplished very much in his life. So he takes his last paycheck from work and decides to go on the European vacation that he never took to this point. So he just basically takes off. And he's just kind of chilling in hostels and partying with other tourists and things like that. He winds up in Italy. And he winds up meeting this woman named Louise who basically just totally steals his heart. And you'd think it's like, okay, this is like a Richard Linklater kind of drama thing where it's like, oh, it's a coming of age story, da-da-da-da-da-da. It does feel really, really like Richard Linklater-y. And it's a movie that kind of tonally jerks you around, and it's kind of endearing in the way that it does it. Like, in this movie, you kind of go from, like, these moments of, like, desperately clinging to life. Because before this guy takes his trip, his grandmother, I think it was his grandmother, grandmother dies, and, like, she's been, like, very frail for a number of years. So it's, like, her, like, kind of clinging to those last sort of moments of life. And it's done in a really, like, it's done in a respectful but kind of a really chilling sort of way. Moments of like anger and outbursts of rage. You got these tenuous little bromance things. And then once he meets Louise, it's like the dialogue between the two of them. It's like this witty kind of back and forth, and you can tell these two people are kind of digging on each other and things like that. And it's like the dialogue and the things and the emotional conveyance in the movie is really good. And then she transforms into a monster. Not figuratively. Literally. This movie is Richard Linklater meets H.P. Lovecraft. And there's no better way to describe it. And it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it sounds stupid. But
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
it's really like it's one of those moments where it's just like, and when it first happens, like my first reaction is like okay, this guy's like going over to this girl's house. It's like, oh man, this is gonna be the night. This is gonna, and he opens the door and she's just on the floor, and like half of her body is like transformed into this monster. And I'm just like, what the fuck is that thing? The question becomes like, okay, you're kind of falling in love with this person. Can you love them through this? And it's like, it's one of those weird, it's weird. It sounds a lot stranger than it actually is. And it is one of those movies that it just kind of grabs you tonally, and it's so it's atmospheric, and it's one of like it asks you to go along on this weird little journey with it. And the ending, the payoff, the ending is done so well. The payoff to this movie is so very good. I gave the girl, Nadia Hilker, I gave her an honorable mention in my best actresses of this year. That was for her role in this, because she's really fantastic. It's the weird little movie that could, because it's certainly not the best movie of the year, but for me, I think this ends up being the most memorable movie of the year. So at a rating of 80 out of 100, Spring is my number 10 best movie of 2015.
My number 9 is Anomalisa. It's like a stop motion animated movie written by Charlie Kaufman, who pretty much only writes good stuff.
Okay.
It's just a drama. I consider giving it my best drama nod. It's very, like, it's not even a long movie, but it goes by really quick. It's very touching and not challenging so much, but it's very real. Even though there's like elements of surrealism in it.
Right.
I'm just gonna read what I said here. Kaufman explores human interaction, love, and relationships in a profoundly intelligent and realistic way. This time using stop motion animation. It's deeply touching and surreal. It does some things like the main character is like an author or whatever, and he's in town for something. He calls up like an old lover, and they have this awkward thing. They go out for like a restaurant, but she gets mad at him. Then he comes across this fan of his, and they start having like this kind of like a brief relationship, even though he's married and whatnot. But like almost everybody in that movie is, I think, voiced by a man. And it might be like the same voice, actually. It might even be the same voice. Until this chick, Lisa. It was very easy to get lost in it. And it was a little heartbreaking and tragic. It also... It has one of the most intimate sex scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Okay. Which is funny, because it's like a stop motion animation.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the most intimate and like awesome sex scenes ever.
Nice.
It didn't feel just like thrown on because, hey, we need sex to prove these people love each other or whatever. It was a movie I really wanted to see because I tend to seek out Kaufman movies when he does them. And I was not disappointed.
I dig stop motion animation. I should check that out. That was one I didn't end up getting to see.
It's a good movie.
Nice. My number 9 best movie of 2015 is Avengers: Age of Ultron, which Tyler talked about a little bit earlier. I don't have a ton to add to the conversation. I was a little nervous when I went into that movie because like I watched the trailers and like I love that line, like there are no strings on me.
That was a good trailer.
Which is it's a good trailer and I love that line. Although I was worried that like it was gonna be a little too cornball. Because like the MCU movies sometimes walk that line. Now, Age of Ultron never crosses that line, although Ultron does a great job of trying to do it all on his own sometimes. I wasn't as big a fan of Ultron as the enemy as you were. The way that Ultron is portrayed in this movie, which is, again, weird to say in and of itself. But in any case, there was something that felt off to me about Ultron, but it didn't at all hurt my enjoyment of the movie. Like I said, when you were talking about it, the emotional depth has kind of stepped up a little bit. And it leaves us, like I said, in a great place going forward with the rest of the MCU. So at my first rating of 85, we're up into my 85s now. 85 out of 100, Avengers: Age of Ultron is my number 9 best movie of 2015.
My number 8 is Mockingjay Part 2.
Okay.
What can I add?
Get ready, folks, because this is where the crossover is going to start probably getting heavy.
These two movies they've just been great.
Yeah.
Mockingjay 1 and 2 were a little darker, grimmer,
Yeah.
I think, and especially Part 1. But aside of the bad ending, which wasn't long enough to really like deeply affect my rating by any means,
No.
it was what I wanted from the finale.
Yep.
I had been invested in this for so long, watched how Katniss grew and evolved, and really Jennifer Lawrence herself kind of growing and evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it was great. My number 8 best movie of 2015 was Concussion, which I talked about earlier. Will Smith starring as Dr. Bennett Omalu. Repetitive head trauma chokes the brain. It's emotionally manipulative to me, kind of like The Judge that you mentioned earlier. That's not a criticism, and it's like I just said about Hunger Games. It's not a criticism, that's just an admission. That's just me admitting to you, the loving viewer, that this movie was emotionally manipulative for me. Because
Yeah, it is.
I like having seen so many people, not only in football, but also in professional wrestling, which we both hold so dear, suffer from things like CTE and see how it really does like change a person. And the movie itself is intentionally manipulative in some places, but the movie was very manipulative for me personally, which I'm just an admission. Will Smith was brilliant. It was great. That's why he was in my best actors of the year. The supporting cast was fine. Production values are all really, really good. And the movie feels very blue collar. I think that's due to the fact that it's in Pittsburgh, which is a very like blue collar, steel working city. If there was one big criticism I have of Concussion, and I know it's based on a true story, I could have done without the side story of Omalu meeting his wife and their romance thing.
Really?
Yeah, because I felt like it was half-assed. Like if you're gonna do it, either do it and give it the time it deserves, or don't do it at all, but don't half-ass it. And I couldn't help feeling like it was half-assed. So I don't know, like that's probably pretty nitpicky. But that aspect of the movie didn't really work well for me. But the rest of the movie I thought worked great. So at a rating of 85 out of 100, Concussion is my number 8 best movie of 2015.
I liked Concussion. I didn't love it,
Mhm.
but I enjoyed it. My number 7 is Unfriended.
Dun dun dun.
Like one of the worst titles of the year, though. Like you can totally understand why somebody would be like, "You like a movie called Unfriended?" That sounds stupid. Because that's the thing. Like Hollywood and whatnot have yet to. Sometimes they have a hard time like making movies about modern technology. Like
Yeah.
you watch like Men, Women, and Children, and
Yeah.
the way it's treated, it's like you guys
And
are
I
like
s-
seem so behind the times.
I so wanted that movie to be so much more than it was.
But we talked about it was our I can't believe I think we started off the video.
Yeah, there was the very
Unfriended.
first one, and it was a bloody consensus. Can't believe I loved this movie.
It doesn't rely on tacky jump scares.
No.
The few times it really tries to either gross you out or scare you, it does so.
Yeah,
Really
and like
well.
there are horror tropes in the movie, and they're evident, but they don't detract from what's enjoyable.
But there's that part where like I think the guy is off camera. Like I don't think he's in the conversation. Then he comes on and he's freaking out and he like shoves his arm into what does he shove his arm into? Is it a blender?
I think it's.
And it's just like it's so abrupt. It's like he comes on the video and it's just like, "Whoa!" And I'm just like, "What the fuck?" Like they wanted to just creep you out a lot of the time and get you emotionally invested. So then when something like that happened, I actually cared.
Yeah.
And horror movies, like it's been. I'm gonna be real because Be Real was real here. It's been a decent year for horror movies for me, but it's weird because it's been a good year for horror movies that aren't actually that scary.
No.
So like to have like Unfriended, like a horror movie. There's usually 1 or 2 horror movies a year that I think highly of.
Yeah.
And Unfriended this year is the one.
It's like it is like this year's surprise of the year, really, because
Yeah.
it's like You look at it and you think this is really not going to be much of anything, and it ended up being something pretty special.
And like I remember during our theater experience, it was just us,
Yeah.
and we were like laughing, but not like.
This is awful.
Yeah,
Not bad.
somehow
It's
we
just
were just like, I don't know if it was like almost a defense mechanism,
Right.
where you kind of laugh because you're so involved. I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird experience.
My number 7 best movie of 2015 is one that he talked about earlier. It's The
Yeah.
Hateful Eight.
Damn, you love that shit.
I loved that shit. Obviously, like I say, Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino's a lot more hit than miss with me, and this one was definitely a hit with me. And I don't know where I heard this. I can't remember. But if memory serves me correctly, the nigger in the stable's got a letter from Abraham Lincoln. And I can say that because I'm quoting the movie. I loved the dialogue. I didn't find that because you said that you found the early part of the movie, you found that it was dragging and kind of, almost got to the point of being tedious. It didn't get there for me because I dug the dialogue. I dug the dialogue right from the start. When it hits spoilers, the movie's built down in like chapters, which I think Tyler mentioned earlier anyway. When it gets to chapter 4 and the narrator shows up, I found that to be a little bit jarring. The narrator is, of course, Quentin.
I kind of felt like sometimes Tarantino was trying to pump way too much into the movie.
Yeah. It
Like
could
that,
be.
I don't think the narrator was necessary.
That's probably being pretty nitpicky.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
the rest of the
nitpicky.
movie was really good. And like you say, once it gets to like chapter 4, like the violence really picks up,
Yeah.
and it becomes like it's like, oh, this is definitely a Tarantino. And no, Hateful Eight to me was fantastic. At a rating of 85 out of 100, Hateful Eight, my number 7 best movie of 2015.
I like it. I've talked about it.
Yep.
I got nothing really more to add to it. My number 6, and this is where I think I would make the claim that we have now entered the truly elite filmmaking in terms of what I thought. Like, I love Unfriended. I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where we really get into, like, the top tier of films.
Totally.
So my number 6 is Sicario. This is masterful, and it boggles my mind how you could not love it more than you do.
Mm-hmm.
When you were like, I liked it, you were like, I enjoyed it, you
My
like,
boy, Dennis Villeneuve.
yeah, it's his boy more than mine. You mentioned for I think 2 things so far in these videos
Right.
today, where like something becomes a character in itself that is
Yeah, like
actually
the
a
city
person.
in Run All
Like
Night.
Mexico City is
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
intimidating place on the planet. In
Absolutely.
This movie. Like I am full. Like I don't know if I could go there.
To the point where Mexico City officials tried to sue the filmmakers over their
Yeah.
portrayal of Mexico City.
I'm not sure there's been a more intimidating city in a movie.
Right.
There is an overwhelming dread that is prevalent and suffocating throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
Like there's they could be just driving down the street, which they are in this part,
Right.
and nothing is happening. They're
Right.
driving down the street, and I'm filled with so much terror and dread.
Yeah.
And it
'Cause
was
something's gonna
oppressive.
happen.
I'm like, oh my god, something's gonna happen, and then nothing really happens. Like there's this one droney song, or I guess you call it. It's really more of a sound effect, which
Yeah.
is like that one.
Yeah.
You remember that one? And
Yeah.
it plays quite a bit throughout.
It does.
And I'm like, stop it! You're gonna be in my nightmares. Like I can't handle that.
It's almost like Ex Machina with the persistent music,
Yeah, it's
basically
just-
throughout the whole
You would
movie.
hear the doom, and it's just like, oh my god. Villeneuve, he lets the camera linger a little longer on a shot than most directors today. He made Mexico a genuinely frightening character.
And that's something just based on that sound effect. He does that a lot in Enemy too.
But a brilliant script. My girl Emily Blunt is holding it down, of course. And that ending. I'm
Yeah.
watching it, and I'm just like, oh, it's over. What the fuck? But not in a bad way.
No.
It was like, wow.
I was like, damn.
I'm a big abrupt ending guy.
Mhm.
Like as long as it makes sense, not just
Yeah,
like,
not
hey, we
just-
ran out of money.
not
let's just end
Miami
this movie.
Vice.
Yeah, like I'm totally I love movies that just end with it's logical but unexpected, and I think
Yeah.
Sicario was a logical conclusion, but you didn't know that it was ending unless you literally had your phone out and you're looking at the time of the movie, how long it's been going,
Right.
and you're like, okay, it runs 2 hours and 10 minutes, and we're at 2 9.
We're at 207, it's about to end.
Like,
Yeah.
unless you were doing that, you would not know that the movie was going to end there. Sicario to me is like top of the line filmmaking. A 90 that could be a 95.
Very nice.
For me, I love Sicario. And it's really kind of, like I said, it's where I hit the top tier stuff. And I have a hard time numbering my movies from this point on. Like everything else.
That's
like,
fair.
yeah, there's a little difficulty numbering things because it's hard to figure out what's number 30 and what's 28 and stuff.
Yeah.
But you get a kind of good idea. This, from this point on, outside of like 1 and 2, like 6, 5, 4, and 3 are all kind of fighting each other. And like, Sicario could be 3. But just at the time I did the list, I was like, nah.
Yeah, fair enough. And I shouldn't characterize it like I didn't like Sicario, because I definitely
Nah, he
did.
likes it.
And I liked Emily Blunt. And I
love Emily Blunt.
And I like, Dennis Villeneuve is... I will watch all of Dennis Villeneuve's movies until he stops making movies.
Yeah.
Because Prisoners got me. And Enemy, while not as good as Prisoners, got me. So I will watch his movies until the end of time. He's just one of those filmmakers that I'll keep coming back to. So no, I definitely like Sicario, and I knew that was going to be on your list somewhere. That's an excellent choice. My number 6 best movie of 2015, he literally just talked about a minute ago. It's Unfriended. Now I don't have a ton more to add to it that we haven't already kind of talked about. Like, it's deceptively intelligent. I love how it incorporated the modern technology. I love the interaction between them. I like the fact that it's good teenage dialogue. I love the fact that it's like there are inferences to, the horror tropes and things like that don't take away from your ability to enjoy the movie. And it was, again, such a shock to have a horror movie end up being like one of the best things that we've seen all year.
Yeah.
And for a while, like, Unfriended could have been in the conversation of the best thing I'd seen all year, and I was like, man, my top movie of the year better not be a horror movie, because nobody will take us seriously anymore.
Yeah, because like...
I think timeline-wise, it may well have been there for, not very long, I don't think, but may well have been there for a little while. At a rating of 85 out of 100, Unfriended is my number 6 best movie of 2015.
Horror is a weird thing, because it's like, some people like get off on the jump scare.
Yeah.
Like, these are the people that can watch The Grudge and love it.
And just, yeah.
And I fucking hate The Grudge. And I like, you say that how, like, it kind of references real life things. It's like, that's what horror should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not saying every horror movie needs to be, like, social commentary.
No.
But, like, horror at its core is a way to explore these issues of fear towards whatever. My number 5.
Yes, sir.
This indie movie came out this year called Star Wars Episode 7.
Oh, yeah, I remember some little studio or something bought it, and they got this guy that's never directed anything sci-fi before.
It's probably going to go down as
I
like
don't know.
one of the overlooked gems of our time.
It's obscure. It's like...
Well, that's what I'm here for, to pull out that obscure
Exactly.
stuff. What can we say about Star Wars? I love the world building of it. It does a good job of me being killed, apparently.
Yeah.
It does a good job of committing fan service, obviously.
Absolutely.
Which I've never had a problem with so much.
I've never had a problem with fan service of something I'm a fan of.
Yeah. Like, would Star Wars be as great a film as it is if it was strictly fan service? No, because you're not leaving anything to build on. But that's where this was good, because it had the fan service, but then they were clearly introducing these new characters and really doing a good job setting up numerous characters that will propel the franchise forward. So they did like a good job with Finn and Rey and Kylo Ren, which I'm going to talk about because I remembered the emo
Kylo Ren.
Here's the thing about Kylo. He was a hard sell for me. When he had his mask on, not a hard sell.
Right.
Because I don't care what anybody says, and I don't even know if people really debate this. There's so many characters in Star Wars that people love only because they look cool.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett is the fucking shit.
Right.
Because he looks cool. And he does a few things. Like, he did a few things over the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's just because you look at him, you're like, yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Or, like, Captain Phasma, when I first saw her, I was like, yeah, boy. And Kylo Ren, I'm like, yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
And, like, he looks cool. So when he has his mask on, you buy it. Even
Absolutely.
he could say anything. He could be like, chicken sandwich, and you'd be like, oh yeah.
Taco salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true.
With his helmet, you're in. He takes it off.
Then he's a brooding
You
pretty boy.
got Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This guy, he's a hard sell because of the way he looks, I think. And that's kind of superficial and shallow, but you know what? To his credit, and I never hated Adam Driver, I just don't know if he would have been my first pick for a villain.
Right.
In Star Wars. He did win me over, though. And that's what I wanted to comment on. Like, it took a little while of him talking, but eventually I'm like, you know what? This Kylo is conflicted, which I liked. I'm not on the side of people who are like, he's not badass enough. Like, it's
Right.
like, you know, there's a time and a place for, like, the Darth Vaders or the, like, truly evil guys that are just like, we are evil. There's a place for that.
We are evil. Yes, we are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But, like,
no, you're absolutely
I
right.
was totally cool with how conflicted he was. People gotta let Star Wars. They gotta let it unfold.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
No, it's
like
true.
Kylo Ren might become this ridiculously evil Sith, which they never
Right.
even said Sith in the movie. I don't think.
This idea of judging a trilogy based only on the first movie is like, don't do it.
Yeah,
Not a
because
good
A
idea.
New Hope wasn't like this. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know when having a character arc was a bad thing, especially over a known trilogy.
All right, so my number five best movie of 2015, a little movie that I've talked about, maybe once or twice in this list called Faults. I won't talk about it anymore because you're just gonna have to go back and watch the other videos. I'm pretty sure I talk about it in every video. But Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Leland Orser, basically two-person universe in a room together, with an excellent payoff and with tremendous performances and with great direction from Riley Stearns. It pays off just the way that it should. Performances are just how they should be. At a rating of 85 out of 100, Faults is my number 5 best movie of 2015.
Had I known that it was going to be so important to you, I probably would have watched.
We would have taken the time to watch it. Fair enough. Sorry, go ahead.
You want to know my next one? My
Yeah.
number 4.
Number 4.
It's Mad Max Fury Road.
Nice.
I never expected this to be as good as it is. I mean, we said in another video, but it's like one big chase scene.
Yeah.
And it's not even like it's a chase scene that's constantly go, 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 go.
Right.
It's literally a chase scene where they're chasing, and they might stop for a while. They might even go and
Take a
reverse.
break.
They might go around. Like it's funny but if you would have told me that, well, two things, that Mad Max would be one of the best movies of the year, I would have been like, shut your whore mouth.
Right.
And two, that like Mad Max is
Awesome.
is like arguably the most feminist movie of the year. More intelligent movie than it appears to be.
Yeah.
Like it's still dumb. Like don't get me wrong, it's silly as shit.
Yeah.
There's a dude playing guitar as they're driving.
Badass.
And when
everyone should want to be that guy.
it's amazing. And when I remember there's that part when they slow down.
Right.
And instead of, because he's going, and then when they get to that slow down part, you just see him, he's just like, dun, dun. And he actually slows down his music, and I'm like, oh.
And this is what, like, when I talked about, like, you won't know exactly what happens in this movie because it's just all of it's so weird.
Yeah.
And it's so it's so frenetic. Like it's all like happening. It's all like the sound and the fury. It's that's what this movie is. My number 4 best movie of 2015 is Kingsman: The Secret Service. Now, hey, Kingsman. And again, like I said before, it took me 2 watches to get up to a point where I like really started appreciating it. But once I got through that second watch, I was like, wow, like that, I didn't give this nearly enough credit. If I had only had that one watch, it probably still would have been in my top 10, but I don't think it would have been in my top 5. And it definitely took that second watch to get me there. I thought everybody was good in this. Samuel L. Jackson plays like a weird role, but again, after you kind of watch it that second time or just kind of let it simmer a little bit, you kind of realize like that role is actually kind of genius. Like I said, the use of slow-mo and the speed up for the visual effects. Matthew Vaughn is a genius and deserves more work. The three hits that I don't know whether I actually mentioned what they were, like he's had 3 straight. This, X-Men First Class, and X-Men Days of Future Past. So he's done those 2 X-Men movies and this, and it's like, this guy deserves more work, especially
This guy's doing
in
good work.
bigger sort of action movies. So at a rating of 90 out of 100, Kingsman: The Secret Service is my number 4 best movie of 2015.
There's something neat about Samuel L. Jackson's character, Valentine or Valentine,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot of people will notice because I don't think music is a. I mean, it's really like it's got an amazing soundtrack. I'm not sure people are watching this movie and really paying attention that much to a soundtrack.
Right.
Maybe certain scenes, but he actually has an incredible theme. And the reason I'm still going on about this is because my number 3 is Kingsman.
Oh, is it nice?
I said a bit earlier that.
Well, I should say here, my number 3 is Mad Max. so
we'll go back to Mad Max in a second.
Right.
I said a bit ago in this video that my numbers 6 to probably 3 can be interchanged.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not true. 1, 2, and 3 are solid because
Right.
Kingsman is really solid at 3.
Mm-hmm.
I feel super bad for Kingsman. I've said this to you, but not to you.
You peoples. Why do you feel bad for Kingsman, Tyler? Well.
Kingsman should have been movie of the year,
Yeah.
and
In other years,
yeah,
it would have been.
It would have been, and it
Unless
just
it was
came-
2013 because that was Spring Breakers.
Yeah, but it came against some real titans
Yeah.
that you'll notice, and I'll explain why when we get to them. Some real titans that like legitimately are some of my favorite movies of all time, and I know it's kind of weird to proclaim movies as one of your favorite of all time when it's so recent.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do it. I just hate when people like they see a new movie and it's instantly their favorite movie of all
Yeah.
time.
Oh, this is my
Because it's
favorite
fresh.
movie ever. It's
Like,
like,
no.
it's
Like,
just
these-
the most recent one you've seen.
You got anything to add about Mad Max?
No, not aside from the stuff that like I've already said. Like I mean, like it was bizarre and spectacular and huge, and I don't understand why people didn't like it. I don't get it. Like I don't get how you can like movies and not like that movie.
It's really inventive.
It is, and it's I don't know, it's and that makes me sound so pretentious, and I'm sorry, but to be perfectly honest, like I don't understand how you can like movies and not like that movie.
My number 2 is Creed. Kingsman came against a Rocky movie.
It's true.
But even with that said, Kingsman still has a shot with this Rocky movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be, like I could change the two around and still be content. Whereas like with like Rocky 1 and Rocky Balboa, and probably Rocky 2, I wouldn't be able to do that because those are
Right.
amazing to me.
Yeah.
Kingsman isn't quite at that level. So, but like Creed was awesome. Creed is like in the terms of Rocky movies, is probably like the 4th best.
Mm-hmm.
Great performances.
In the interest of fairness, you should know that Tyler's mentioned before he's like no objectivity when it comes to the
No.
Rocky movies. He ranked that movie 100.
Yeah, I've ranked like 4 Rocky
Right.
movies 100.
Yeah, exactly. Boxing.
I wish I could remember this one part in the final fight that really got to me. Something that Michael B. Jordan said, but I can't remember it now. And I've been trying to think of it, but it's this one line he said that it really got to me. But anyway, Creed was fantastic.
Yeah.
And if Rocky continues, which I don't need it to,
You know what? I don't think I needed to either.
but if it does and Coogler comes back,
Mm-hmm.
it's in good hands. It could have ended with Balboa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Balboa would have been probably the perfect way to end it, but, you know.
But this is a new story. This
Absolutely.
is Apollo Creed's son.
Exactly.
It's not like you
You're
can get
allowed
away
to-
with that.
You're allowed to take that universe and go to different
Yeah.
places with it. So you're all good. All right. My number 2. My number 2 is Straight Outta Compton.
Oh shit! I knew you were gonna throw a swerve.
My number 2
With
is
your
Straight Outta
hesitation,
Compton.
I knew you were
It's-
throwing a swerve.
So, and this is why this is a swerve. Because how many times have you watched Straight Outta
4.
Compton? 4. I watched it 3 times. And all those were in theaters.
Yeah.
This was the movie that not only I watched most this year, but the movie that I think made the biggest impact and changed us in terms of our relationship the most. Just because, like, I mean, we watched it because every time I went to see it, I saw it with you.
Yeah.
So it was like all three
you.
times that we went because we were like, "What do you want to do today?" I don't know. Want to go see Straight Outta Compton again? And we're like, "Okay." And every single time you watch it, it gets better. Straight Outta Compton, if for some reason you don't know, the NWA biopic. And like we said, if there was an Oscar for Best Ensemble Performance, it's no contest. It's the ensemble performance in this. Paul Giamatti is unbelievable as Jerry Heller. He's really, really good, despite the fact that I think the real Jerry Heller is trying to sue over because he's a weasel. It's almost perfect. Like, I can't think of anything about the movie that I want them to change, that I actively would want them to change. Some people have made the point, and I think there's probably some legs to this point, that it's a little, maybe it whitewashes some stuff a little bit. Some stuff wasn't included, made them look better than arguably they would have at the time. And it's like, well, it's executive produced by Dre and Cube. Like, do you think they're going to make a movie that, like, Dre is like the ultimate businessman? Like, you think he's going to make a movie where he makes himself look bad? Like, no.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
It's
not a
care.
documentary.
No,
it's a biopic, and I'm willing to accept.
Right.
Like, I know of some things that were left out.
Of course. Leave it to History Channel. If that's what you want, watch the History Channel if they ever do an NWA biography. Like, watch that. But, like, this is supposed to be entertainment, and yeah, it's a biopic, and they try to keep it relatively true to life and tell a story that maybe hasn't been told before. I don't care what they omitted. I really don't. It was my favorite movie of the year for a long ass time, which leads right into what your number one is, which is Straight Outta Compton.
Man, I expected to like it. The trailer was really cool. I expected, like, I would have been totally content with like a 90. Mm-hmm. I kind of expected between 80 and 90. I expected to really like it. I didn't expect it to be this. It is so well done. It's a little unnerving. It's like you get these great performances. Seeing it in theater especially is really great because there's something about rap music that really adds to a movie, especially like with surround sound. It's just something with rap music that just does that. Mm-hmm. There's amazing shots, like when Dre's brother dies, and he's like there, and he walks around the corner, and the camera just with him, and then his boys are standing there, and they just walk off. I'm like, it gets me every time. There's Easy. I don't see how this could be a spoiler. Easy gets AIDS, and if you don't know that.
If you don't know, now you know.
Maybe you should call the 90s. Watching Dre try to keep it in when he's talking to Easy. Like, I've been working on this sick music, basically. Yeah. And then he just kind of, he can't, like, I can't even handle it now. Like, it gets me so, it got me so bad.
It's true.
There's so many parts. And it's a movie that I could watch right now.
It occupied that top spot for a long time until Star Wars came along, and Star Wars was my number one. My favorite movie of the year, best movie of the year, to me was Star Wars because it again, like I said in an earlier video, I am a dyed-in-the-wool Star Wars fan for quite some time. I didn't start as a Star Wars fan. I was a Trekkie when I was a kid. Not even really a Trekkie, but I liked The Next Generation, and I liked that series so much. Like, I fell in love with it when I was a kid. Star Wars, I came into a little bit later in life, but as soon as I saw the first Star Wars movie, I was like, yo, this is amazing. And that's kind of when that came through. And I can't express adequately how much I love J.J. Abrams for what he did with Star Wars and how he took Star Wars and he's brought Star Wars now into the 21st century, doing what the prequel trilogy couldn't do, which was make Star Wars look modern and pretty, but also keep it Star Wars. Like, the first two movies that are the prequel trilogy arguably don't keep it Star Wars. They have those characters, but they don't keep it Star Wars. At least not to my satisfaction or to the satisfaction of a lot of Star Wars fans. And this is the problem. Star Wars fans, we're all entitled. We're so entitled. But it's like the first two movies in the prequel trilogy really don't do it. Revenge of the Sith is a really solid, really good Star Wars movie. Yeah. So that's great. Like, we got one prequel movie.
Revenge of the Sith might have one of the best scenes ever when they do Order 66.
Yeah.
That's
Execute Order 66.
That is
because it's wrenching.
That's brutal.
It's like, oh my god,
that might be the best scene in the entire franchise.
It's pretty friggin' close because it's like you're watching it and there's like, oh my god, like this is it. This is it, and there's nothing you could like. There's nothing we could do about it. We just gotta watch it.
Watching this,
it's true. But then, like, I mean, my experience of watching The Force Awakens is such, like, it was everything that. It sounds like I'm gonna get emotional. It was everything that I wanted it to be. And you so rarely get those experiences where you run into a movie where you have very high expectations of it and very high desires for what you want the movie to be. And then you leave the theater and you say, that was everything that I wanted it to be. And I think based on that it was on that level that it knocked it up over Compton. It's going to take a lot for me to justify putting Star Wars over Compton or putting anything over Compton. And then I watched Star Wars, and I watched Star Wars a second time, and I was like, this is what's going to do it. So, Tyler, how disappointed are you in me that we didn't come to the consensus that we had for the majority of the year that Compton was the best movie?
I'm not too disappointed because they're basically the same movie. The only thing I've got to add about Star Wars is, like, I mean, I don't know if I've even mentioned this, but Captain Phasma, like, getting punked, it was... I'm hoping that she's more in the next two movies.
Yeah.
But that disappointed me. But the other thing, I would have liked for, like, the kind of central conflict to not be such a rehash of, like, A New Hope. But at the same time, it didn't bug me that much. Because, like, okay, we're going to destroy a planet again. They stepped it up, but it is kind of a rehash. But they did play it safe.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and this is the problem. It's going to go back to the whole entitlement thing. I expect the next one of these movies to be this series' Empire. This series' Wrath of Khan. Like, I expect the second one to be... Yeah. This series is The Dark Knight. Like, I expect this to be huge.
It's a different director.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the 2015 Bridgewater's Finest Movie Awards. If you're just joining us, how are you possibly just joining us at the end of the video? Tyler's number one best movie of 2015 was Straight Outta Compton. My number one best movie of 2015 was Star Wars The Force Awakens. What was your number one movie of 2015? Let us know in the comments section below. And that's it. Another year of the movie awards is come and gone. And now we run into that months-long depression of like
deep sadness.
It is. It's because it's like we anticipate these videos so much, and then when they're done, it's like seeing our kid go off to college. It's like part of you's happy, part of you's sad, and part of me knows that I got a lot of work left to do. You know, the whatever you believe in willing will be around to do this again next year. So that's going to be it for us. He is Art Bathed in Crime on Twitter, here on behalf of MediaDetour.com. I'm Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and we hereby call the 2015 Bridgewater's Finest Movie Awards closed. I just want to talk more movies.
Yeah, we gotta wait. I might not even be alive.
12 more
Like
months.